Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi, Gertrude. Hi, everyone listening. So I'm Katie, and I'm here to share my story of rock bottom to radiance. I'm 35 years old. I live in Manchester in England. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to tell a story that includes spirituality. It includes giving up a life that looked like success on paper for what really feels good in my soul. And we're going to talk about self-leadership, how you can lead yourself through all of it, from the rock bottoms to the radiance and beyond. So we're going to rewind back. We could rewind back a long way, but I'm only going to rewind it back a little bit, around 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I was in a space where I did not know what I was going to do with my life. I'd built something that many women dream of. I had the gorgeous big house in the countryside, which I manifested, by the way, a £1 million home. I had a partner, my fiance. I had this gorgeous ring on my finger. You'll notice I'm single now. I had a gorgeous dog. We had beautiful cars. I was a successful lawyer working for one of the top American law firms in the UK. And yet I was completely miserable on the inside. And I thought, gosh, I'm so ungrateful. You've created something everybody wants, and yet you don't want it. And it didn't feel good within me. And I didn't know why. And one day I sat meditating and I said, okay, universe, thank you for everything you've given me, for everything that I experienced. But I'm feeling this push. I'm feeling this push out. I was so burnt out in my job. And often, a lot of the time, I felt like I couldn't think about anything unless I was getting paid to think about it. I'd become completely disconnected from myself. Sometimes I would drive out somewhere, not know where I was, not know who I was, just a complete mind shut down. And in this moment, I said, universe, if I should leave, show me an owl. And if I should stay, show me a deer. And I was talking about my relationship, and I was pretty sure that I should leave this relationship, although I didn't know why. And I left that meditation. I opened up my phone to scroll on Instagram because that was my escape at the time. And straight away I saw my friend had tagged herself at this place called Owl Canyon. Okay, not the owl I was expecting, but the owl I got. Big letters, she made it big, Owl Canyon. I'm like, okay. I went upstairs. My fiance sat there working his computer, and I've got my computer set up, and he said, hey, look at this picture on my screensaver. And I looked at it, and it was 5 owls. Okay, universe, I got it. I was saying to one of my friends, I said, I think I need to leave my relationship, and I think I need to leave my job. And she said, hey, I'm going on holiday. If you want to come to my place, you can have my apartment for a couple of weeks. Get some headspace, have a think about what you want. And she lived in this place in England called Leeds, which I'd never been to before. I'd never been to her home. I get to Leeds, and it's gorgeous. I'm in a cab, and I see outside of the town hall these two huge golden owls. And I'm like, okay, I got it. Anyway, I had this trip staying at her home. I went back to my home and I phoned my mum and I said, Mum, I'm going to leave my partner. And she said, you are crazy, Katie. If you're going to leave him, you are crazy. This man adores you. You have everything you could ever want. I had this success on paper. I had this beautiful, seemingly beautiful relationship on the outside to everyone. And she said, if you think you can do better than that, you are crazy. And I said, maybe so. But I really feel like I'm being guided by the universe on this. I don't know why I'm meant to leave, but I know I'm meant to leave. And I told her the story about the deer and the owl. And she thought I'd lost the plot. I think she's a little bit worried about me at this point. Anyway, she's driving home and she phones me on her way back and she said, Katie, I've just run over and killed a deer. And she was crying and I'm like, oh, wow. She's like, I believe you. I believe you're being guided by the universe now. So anyway, with that amount of knowledge and that amount of self-belief and insight, that even though everyone was telling me I had this perfect life, my body was screaming, no, this doesn't feel good. And my relationship didn't feel good. My job didn't feel good. And honestly, I was so tired. I'd been living in my mind my whole life. I'd never learned how to live in my heart. And when I was living in my mind, I was so busy. What do I need to do? What does this need to look like? I wasn't worried about, who am I being? How does this feel? But my body just kept giving me the signals. And eventually my brain was too tired. I stopped swimming upstream, thinking I needed to suffer and struggle my way to a good relationship or a good job or success. And instead, I just surrendered. Okay, universe, if I'm not meant to be here, what do you got in store for me? Let's find out. I left my job. And I actually thought I had another job lined up. It was a dream job for me. And then it kind of told me it was in the bag. So I left my current job and I felt the weight of relief off. And the other job didn't come through. And I thought, well, I don't know why, but I'm going to find out. And so much of the time, things look like they're not working out for you. And they always are. They always are. It works out better than you ever think. And I left my partner. And in that, I left the home. I left my dog. I left everything that I'd attached my identity to. Oh, I'm Katie, I'm a lawyer, and this person's fiance. I live in this space. I have a dog. All of those things I'd anchored my identity to, so that suddenly they're all gone, and I didn't know how to show up in the world. I didn't really know my place within it or who I was or what I was here to do. I became homeless. I had my car, and it was a Fiat 500, a tiny little car. I fitted as much of my stuff as I could in there, and I sold and donated everything else. And I thought, universe, I don't know what the plan is that you have for me, but I believe that I deserve to feel good. The first time ever, I was like, I believe that I deserve to feel good. And none of this is feeling good. So I left that. I was in my car. I actually started working in the adult entertainment industry as a way to boost my income. I was applying for other jobs as a lawyer, and I couldn't get any of them. My mind was fried. And what the universe was trying to show me is it's time to move from your mind to your body, girl, because all this time I created this sense of safety in the mind, and it was just distracting me from my deeper soul. So many people have a lot of different opinions about the adult entertainment industry. I would say this was a space where I really healed, connected. I generated enough income to be able to do my own healing work, to be coached, have therapy, where I discovered I'd been in a really abusive relationship. Except for me, it felt like love. I didn't realize I'd been financially abused as well. So when it comes to leaving that space, I didn't even think, how come I have to be homeless now? I'm a lawyer. Why don't I have any money? Right. I've been slowly funneled out over time, and I was an overgiver without limits. So I learned a lot about myself in that space. And as I was going through this healing journey, I started to develop my methodology. It became less about information and more about transformation. It became less about success on paper that looks good, but more about success that feels inherently true and good for you. And I learned how to work not just on the conscious mind, which I was so used to, but in 5 dimensions, to be able to deliver powerful and lasting transformation in the way that changed my life. And I have no doubt that the universe has guided me to live at the edges of my life so that I can teach from all of it and guide women into their own understanding and their own felt sense of being something that gets to feel incredible for them.
Wow. Katie, what an incredible story. You know, I just love your use of words, right? I always talk about talking to the universe for guidance.
Mm.
And I feel a little bit crazy sometimes when I say it out loud, but listening to you, it just sounds so natural and so real because that's basically how I've lived my life.
Yeah.
Now, you went through a lot, but there was something in you telling you that something wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the first moment that you realized your successful life was actually breaking you?
Yeah. I think that there were many moments along the way of this journey, and life was coaching me to show me that I had a real problem saying no. I had a real problem with boundaries, and it was really in lockdown, which I think for many people allowed us to really have more space to see what we were really looking at instead of the distractions of so much of the outside world. And I remember I had one day where I was just sat at my desk. I'd woken up at 5 a.m. to work, and our, like, in the legal industry, work had just gone crazy. There was so much going on. And with that meant that I had so much going on. But because of the uncertainty, they've said, oh, we have to cut your salaries by 30% because we just don't know what's going to go on. And I'm like, oof, okay. So I had my salary cut. And then I was also working so much more. And I thought, this doesn't make sense. I was eating every meal at my desk. I'd be up at 5 or 6 a.m., get straight from my bed into my desk because I had nowhere else to go, nowhere else to be. And I would eat every meal at my desk, completely self-abandoned in the pursuit of, they're telling me that this is what I need to do. People are coming to me with work and I don't know how to say no. So I just said yes to all of it. Katie, can you review 90 documents before the end of the day? And they're all about 30 pages each. And I'm like, sure, yeah, just land that on my desk. And it was this space of self-abandonment, and my body was screaming. I didn't know how to listen to it. What I realize now is I had no ability to regulate my temperature. I had no ability to regulate my emotions or my mood. And I'm sat on my computer crying, just wondering how and when somebody outside of me is going to save me, is going to change things. And that was always the lie, that you believe that things exist outside of you. So coming internally, getting to realize I could be my own savior, and realizing no wonder I had this string of abusive relationships when all this part of me wanted to do was to play the victim, play the damsel in distress and be saved. And it's so innocent that many of us have this part that comes forward that wants to prove, right? We all have this kind of external measuring stick where we want to prove our worth or our enoughness. And for me, mine was very much around work and also around helping people and how much do people like me. So this combination of things just led me into this real state of severe burnout where I would work, go to sleep, be panic attacks all through the night. If I did anything that was outside of work, I didn't know how to do that anymore. It was almost like I'd become this robot programmed to be this document churning machine. And I thought, this isn't success that I thought it was going to be. This doesn't feel like I thought it was going to be. I had this vision of this glamorous life as a lawyer where things just felt so fun and exciting. And I was just living in my passion, going about it. And I wasn't. I couldn't care less about reading about data protection documents. That is not what I was doing in my spare time. And I thought, I am so out of alignment. This head-heart alignment is completely disconnected. And because of that, I'd only really learned how to live from the neck up. And I thought, this is not my life.
So can you describe the emotional and spiritual toll of burnout? and how you began to recover.
Yeah, beautiful question. So with this sense of living in the mind and being disconnected from your heart, your purpose, your values, all of these things, and because I was so wanting to be liked and accepted, it became this thing of, well, how could I be the perfect fiance? How could I be the perfect daughter? How could I be the perfect lawyer? How could I be the perfect mentor? All of these things meant that I was actually living a bit like a jigsaw puzzle, except none of the pieces really fit together.
Yeah.
So you come to this space of, who am I? Which I think is one of the most spiritual questions you can ask yourself. Who
Yes.
am I? And so that moment of leaving my job, leaving my partner, leaving my home, all of these things, all of these pieces that I thought made me who I am suddenly were no longer my anchors. And I had
Yes.
to really learn, wait, okay, who am I without all of these things? Let me
And
go
just go
in.
back to yourself. Yes. That's
Yes.
incredible. And that's the space not many women know how to access. So, how did your experience in the adult entertainment industry shape your understanding of power, shame, and identity?
Yeah, beautiful. Shame is one of the greatest gifts. And it's hard to see that in the moment, but when you realize that, it will shift everything. So moving into the adult entertainment industry, from this space of being successful lawyer with the partner, with the family, with all this stuff, to then being, oh, I'm homeless, living out of my car, working in the adult entertainment industry, I felt so much shame around that. And I was moving from this space of, okay, if I just graft my ass off, make some money, I'm going to be able to get out of this space into the next thing. And hopefully no one's ever going to ask me about this period of my life. Hopefully no one ever finds out about this part of my life. And when you realize you are telling yourself the story of, people wouldn't like me, people wouldn't respect me, people wouldn't love me if they knew this about me, you are outsourcing so much of your power to this thing that you have on a pedestal. For me, it was the adult entertainment industry. For other people, it can be a whole ton of things. It can be, even debt, homelessness, addiction, any of these things, or we can really use it to hold something over ourselves. So, and I kept this a secret for a really long time. This actually wasn't my first time in the adult entertainment industry either. When I left living at home and I went into university and I was studying to be a lawyer. And by the way, we're going back in the days where before OnlyFans, before these things, where I think a lot of adult entertainment work has now become more normalized and more mainstreamed. But at that time, I thought, well, I'm moving into this very professional job. Now, I was so, again, tired and burnt out, exhausted from having arguments with my parents of, well, your dad should pay, well, your mum should pay, and all this stuff. And I think, well, I need to live, and I'm also working so hard to learn as a lawyer. And this part of me that likes to be successful and likes to fast track, likes to think, how can I do this in a more efficient way for me, rather than working for £5 an hour in a cafe or a nightclub. I thought, what would it be like if I went into adult entertainment? Right. To tell you a little bit about my personality type as well, I love working with the Enneagram, and I use this to work with my clients as well. But on the Enneagram, I'm a 3 wing 2. There's 9 types. We can go into that later another time. But the 9, this is the one that's very motivated by success. And in the shadow side of that is also vanity. Now, that might be, I want to look good in terms of the cars, the house, the job title. It could be vanity that way. It could be vanity the way you physically present yourself. But to go into adult entertainment and to have always felt like the person where I'm not good enough, men don't love me, to go into a space where suddenly people not only find me attractive, which, is a real good hit for my more wounded parts, they don't just want to spend time with me, but they want to spend money to spend time with me. And so for all of these wounded parts, I'm like, God, this feels so good. And then moving sort of beyond that, it gave me an escape. I didn't have to be a serious professional lawyer. And again, it's like this part of me that wanted to fit myself into this real role that I thought I needed to play in order to be liked and accepted. What if I could be sexy? What if I could really direct my attention now, instead of pressure and struggle? what if I could change that into pleasure and flirting and play and fun? And so this, like, yeah, I got into that space from a very wounded place, but it unlocked some very empowered parts of me. It taught me, you know, you think you live up here. And even like I didn't get this lesson, it didn't fully land until quite a while later. But when I was starting my coaching business, when I had enough money from adult entertainment to, okay, well, I'm going to do my healing, I'm going to invest, I'm going to learn how to coach, I'm going to learn how to support other women. And I was doing that, and I was again straight back up into my head, because I think this is where I should be. I should be professional, and this is how I should operate. And I'm thinking, why do I make so much money with so much ease and so much fun in the adult entertainment industry? And yet here it feels very hard, but here I feel very connected to my values. So it's almost learning. I thought that being a lawyer was like, oh, well, that's the way to work, but it just wasn't aligned with my passion. But if I'm working here, it's aligned with my passion. Oh, why does this still not work? So it's kind of like borrowing little bits of success from little pockets and think, what is success? What is it? Oh, maybe I can, when I'm selling, maybe this is more of a flirt. And what is flirting? Well, to me, it's enjoying yourself in the company of others. And instead of being so focused, are they going to like me? Are they going to accept me? Are they going to respect me? What if I can enjoy myself as I share the power of my work, as I know, like, hey, I don't need this for me, but I want it for you, because this is going to change your life in fundamental ways. So that was a huge lesson for me. And again, I'll say that didn't come so quickly. That landed later. But
it was a
when
process.
I came out, yeah. And when I realized how much shame I was holding around adult entertainment as well. Oh, I'm making this mean something it doesn't need to mean. Doing my work around that, it's like, okay, now I get to show up as a multi-dimensional woman with all of these different parts. And some of them are very fun, very sexy, very playful. And other ones of them, they're very determined, very focused, very professional. And it can all fit together in the same space. And I can just share all of that with so much love.
So, Katie, I'm going to ask you to switch off your fan, because I am hearing that little sound and it is a bit distracting. That's much better.
How's that?
That's much better. I know you're boiling hot, but let's see if we can get through it without the fan. So, what does post-traumatic growth mean to you, and how can women access it?
Beautiful. So, I want to start off answering that question with a bit of an explanation around what trauma is as well.
Yeah.
So, when I left that relationship, I had complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And trauma is not necessarily the thing that happens to you. I think this is a Dr. Gabor Mate quote, but it's how your body holds the thing that happened. And now, when you can sometimes have like one incident you can pinpoint of trauma, like let's say you're involved in a serious accident or assault or something like that, you have a more of an awareness around what that is, why that happened, why you might feel the way that you do. With CPTSD, I mean, I went through narcissistic abuse over a period of years that I didn't really understand what game I was playing or what I was involved in or anything like that. And so this sort of like small things collected over time, over a number of years, it created this sense of PTSD, but in a different way. So they say that trauma is anything that happened to you in the past that you believe happened to you and not for you. And now I don't want this to sound like a toxic positivity of like, hey, everything happens for a reason, you know, and then that's just the end of it, because it isn't. It isn't. When you experience trauma, that process of understanding how that happened for you is really powerful, and it's advanced, right? We go through this space of uncovering all emotions, and now I look back on all of that period of my life and I think, I'm so grateful that all of that happened. If you could press this button and be like, if I could go back, not be with that partner, not be with that job, or decide what I want to do, I would never do it.
Yeah.
We have all of these experiences that teach us who we are.
You've developed three pillars, your three pillars: identity, integration, and evolution. Tell us more about that.
Yes. Identity. is very much around who you are being. And again, we can attach our identity to so many things outside of us. Imagine that's who we are. And that's
Yes.
your mind's beautiful way of distracting you from the truth of your soul. And it's a simple question to ask yourself. I mean, you've all heard this phrase probably millions of times in your life, and I'm going to invite you to think of it in a different way. So, Shakespearean quote, to be or not to be, that is the question. I had this
Yes.
moment and I was like, that is the question. In
Mhm.
every moment, am I going to be this part of me that I want to be? Am I being this part of me that actually is connected to my values, that feels lit up, that is excited about the way I show up in my world, how I spend my time? Or am I being something different? And I have a choice. Realizing if you are not changing something, you are choosing it. And you can
Yes.
choose to do differently. Yes, even when it's scary, even when it's pulling up your deepest, darkest stuff. So the identity piece is very much about understanding who you are being and understanding the gap as well. And well, if I want to be this person, what makes sense to me?
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
sometimes that means the quantum crumble happens before the quantum leap. Sometimes we burn it all to the ground. And also sometimes you don't need to. You know, we talk about rock bottom as well. The
Yeah.
most dangerous space is that bit just before your rock bottom, where things
Yeah.
aren't quite bad enough to change. So you stay the same. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my rock bottom because that was the catalyst into me creating the life I always dreamed of.
It's just
So,
amazing.
yeah.
So, what role did spirituality play in your healing journey? Were you always spiritual? Did you
Yeah.
find it more at this point? What role did it play?
Yeah. So the spiritual element of it, I always say life is always coaching you for your evolution, which again is one of these other pillars. Life is always
Yes.
coaching. It's giving you the raw material to show you where you can get free. Spirituality, in my mind, it doesn't just happen in a church. It doesn't just happen in a community. Spirituality is the way that you walk your path, the way that you walk your life. Whether you pray or not, you are having a spiritual experience. You are a spirit having a human experience in this moment. And so understanding how to decode the raw materials that life is giving you allows you to understand more of your spiritual path. So even just to give a really basic example of that, I was having the spiritual experience through my job, through my friends, through my parents, where it's showing me, hey, girl, you don't know how to say no. You don't know
Mm.
where your boundaries are. And I'm sat there with all of this inner frustration of, I can't believe they're taking advantage of me, or I can't believe they did that after everything I've done for them. I wasn't landing the lesson right. But when I
Yeah.
was able to decode that, I'm like, oh, this is what life is showing me right now for my evolution. And I can choose to land that lesson and do something with it, or I can choose to be in a frustration and think the
Yeah.
next person should be different or the next job should be different. But when you come back to this sense of insourcing, you get to see how much power you really have in your situations.
That's just amazing. Now, you were inspired to create Katie Roger Coaching. Where did that inspiration come from?
Ah, I think when I have walked this path and sort of met some pretty extreme edges of life as well, I know I didn't just walk that for me. I know I didn't just walk that path so that I could feel good. I want to show women and inspire women how they can be the solution to anything that they are experiencing, how much power they have in their life, and how you really don't need anybody else to be any different for you to be okay. And, you know, we can all sit and be like, oh, if my parents had been different in some way, or my partner was different in some way, then I could be okay. No, my work is very much about teaching you how to, and not just be okay, right? We can do better than okay, right? And this is where the integration phase certainly is more sort of at the beginning, where we do go back and integrate that trauma so you can really powerfully stand from a space of that happened for me and that I got the lesson. Thank you, universe. I got it. I'm good. Then we go into this space of identity, and when I went through my journey after that, I'm like, oh my God, everything I do is a trauma response. Okay, who am I without this stuff? I had to
Yes.
learn and code in my new identity, and it goes through this path of evolution with you. So, sometimes we do go from this space of, I just want to feel good, right? We get there and it's like, hey, the universe is not on a budget. You can feel good, great, exceptional, delusional, illogical. How do you want to experience this life? And this is the power and the work that I really wanted to share, so I could integrate and make more meaning of the path that I've walked and share this for other people. Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Now, my last two questions are going to be a bit of a thought experiment. First question, I'm going to teleport you back to that young woman who looked on the surface like she had everything, but knew deep down she didn't. In case there's somebody who's listening to this podcast right now, who's needing to hear this message, if you could go back and give her 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
Oh, this is such a yummy question. Let me feel into this. I would say to her, stop worrying about how it looks and start feeling into how this feels, how you feel. I know you think your mind is keeping you so safe and has all the answers, but your body is so wise. If something doesn't feel good, i.e. it feels contracted, feels trapped, you're noticing you're feeling frustrated and angry all the time, there's your wisdom. Follow the thing that feels good, that feels expansive and open, uplifting. Follow your joy, follow your passion. The second nugget I would give her is, don't worry about how it looks. It's all working for you and you're going to understand it later. Or maybe we don't think long enough to be able to get the lesson, to see how it all played out, because we don't see all of the other things that could have happened too. But when you trust that life is kind, that you are given the exact material that you need for your spiritual evolution, you're going to stop imagining things are going to happen to you, and you're going to start to learn how to use them for you and learn these lessons for your spiritual evolution. And finally, something I think that everyone needs to hear again and again and again, because this sense of worthiness, it's not a space of you have it or you don't. We all have our limit, we all have our flaw. And we imagine we have this kind of tank of worthiness sometimes. I'm worthy enough for this, but not this. And it's not true. There is no range of worthiness. You just are. So going back to the space of I am. Whether you want to call that I am enough, I am worthy, I am. Yeah. And when you live that way, you're going to experience life so much more fully.
I just love the nuggets you gave. Who is it who says, follow your bliss? Where did I read that in a book? One of these famous gurus, that you should live in a state of bliss all the time and follow the things that give you joy. But we compromise a lot of the times. We do it to keep up appearances, to keep up with the Joneses. On the surface, it looks good, so you live your life for other people's approval.
Yeah.
And you're not living your life for you.
Yes, that's right. What is success if it doesn't feel good?
Yeah.
That isn't success. That's a measuring stick to beat yourself up with. No. You're worthy of more.
So now let me take you into the future, and we are going to teleport and go and meet the 90-year-old you. And she's sitting in her rocking chair, surrounded by her children, her grandchildren, whoever is with you at the end.
Yeah.
If we could teleport into the future to meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
Oh, I would say thank you. Thank you for meeting the edges of life. Thank you for sharing so much love. Thank you for the wealth that you created, and not just in terms of monetary wealth, which I love to use to share and uplift other women, to inspire, to create more impact in the world of what I love. But the inner wealth, the wealth of all the tools, all the wisdom, everything that I've developed, everything that I've shared, that allows this beautiful ripple effect to go out deeper and wider, so that people get to experience life more fully, to feel good with it. Because what is your place in this world if you're not inspiring more joy, more love, more passion, more excitement? We came here to have the human experience, and sometimes we get so escaped by that. We get stuck into this suffer, struggle, work matrix of measuring yourself, of your value, your success. But actually, thank you. Thank you for letting it feel good. Thank you for showing other people there is a different way too. And thank you for the light.
Absolutely love that. I love asking women that question because a lot of times we forget that the wise woman is already in us.
Yes.
That she is that quiet voice who prompts you to leave, who prompts you to say yes or no. But we look outside of ourselves for answers instead of going within.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening to your wise woman. She is certainly guiding you. It's just incredible.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to share this with you all. And reminding everyone, you are this multifaceted woman. Yes, we all have these parts that are less nourished, less resourced, less grounded, probably younger, probably created in childhood. And also we have these wise 90-year-old parts that have more wisdom and experience, and they're more grounded and nourished. They're not stuck in the emotion of the now. They see it clearly.
Yeah.
And when you look inward, you get to navigate your inner world and decide, which part do I want to lead with? To be or not to be? Who am I being? So what a beautiful way to wrap this up.
Fantastic. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We're a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are a woman who is stuck, is not knowing which way to go, which direction to take, but you feel you are not happy, you feel that the success that you're experiencing on the outside is not inside, get some help. Reach out to Katie. She's here to coach you and guide you. You don't have to do it alone because it can be daunting, it can be scary, but everything you want is on the other side of fear. So feel the fear and do it anyway. Thanks again, Katie. I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thanks again, Katie. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.